Hi guys, so today's video is all going to be about cardio for fat loss. So this is a bit of a buzz topic. I put a question out on Facebook group asking our members and our past and current clients what they would like to know more about, or whether they had any lingering questions, and what unanimously came back was questions about cardio. So we've got kind of 3 questions today which I'm going to endeavour to answer in my own way. Sorry for all the comments on the board. It's just kind of make sure I answer the questions as thoroughly as possible. I don't forget kind of what I've planned to say with regards to the answers. So the first question is, what are the pros and cons of cardio? The second one is the best methods for fat loss without losing muscle. And C, should it be done separately or combined with weights? So all the answers I give today are going to be related to fat loss and maintaining muscle, because obviously at Frontier, body composition is what we do, so it's all going to be related to that. Now, before I answer those questions, the one thing I'd be wanting to ask, or wanting to find out more about the individual, is what stage are they at? So, are you a beginner? Do you know a little bit of knowledge about exercise? So you'd probably be more intermediate based, or are you advanced? So are you looking to take things a little bit more seriously? Have you culminated a lot of years of weight training experience, etc., and you've built up your education level throughout that time? So the first thing you kind of need to ask yourself is what level are you at before you go about really answering any of these questions. Or certainly us as coaches would want to know that with regards to our clients, where they are in the stage, and that would give you a better guess as to what's the best form of cardio, if any, to bring in for that individual. The second thing as well, and when I first started, I was very much strength and conditioning based to start off with, and the people that kind of coached me to start off with, and obviously me through my learning, it was made pretty obvious to me that isn't all training cardiovascular. You know, if you do a good set, let's say on the hack squat or on the leg press, where you push yourself to the limit, what's your recovery like after that? You're absolutely blowing out your backside. So that's a cardiovascular response. That's you recovering cardiovascularly to get them ready for the next set. So what I think everyone needs to realise is everything you do has some sort of cardiovascular effect. It's just the type of cardio that's relevant when you need to decide what to bring in. So I've drawn a little kind of diagram behind me. Let me kind of move to this side for this bit, and it's got weight training in the middle. Now, for me, when it comes to body composition training, bodybuilding training, weight training is your fundamental. That's what you need to kind of build everything around. And then all your cardiovascular elements are around the outside of that. And now, obviously, this is taking into account, again, what stage you're at. So this is cardiovascular types from beginner right the way through to advanced. So you've got your high intensive interval training there, you've got your long steady state training, you've got your metabolic resistance training sessions, so things like going on the prowler, battle ropes, etc. Family activities, so people forget that, you know, family activities does have a cardiovascular response. You go for a bike ride with your family, etc. It all counts, it all adds to your cumulative kind of calorie expenditure throughout the week, throughout the day. And then sport and hobbies, so those that play for teams at the weekend, or you know play squash or badminton on a Tuesday night. Again, that creates a cardiovascular response, and it all adds to that calorie expenditure when you are performing weight training regularly on a weekly basis. So that's just what I want to get off my chest to start off with. Now, if I just kind of flip around this way, what you need to kind of understand as well is that notoriously in society these days, people come through our doors in the gym and they're already in a stress state, and obviously that stress state varies from not so extreme to very extreme. But exercise is a stress on the body, so us as coaches need to come up with a minimum dose required for that individual to get results. So it makes perfect sense when you first start out with a client not to give them every bit of exercise going. So what you notoriously find with cardio is when someone first starts out with us is that cardio is kept on a back burner. So me certainly when I'm giving programs out to our clients, cardio's it's not kind of talked about. It's say, right, if you want to go out and go out for a bike ride, then by all means do it, spend time with the family, and if you enjoy it, do it. But I wouldn't put it in a program, because one, I want to see how their body responds to weight training, and secondly, I want to see how their body responds to the nutritional program I give them, and thirdly, I don't want to add any more stress to their body that's not needed. You know, if they train hard enough and well enough at weight training and get their nutrition right, there shouldn't be any need for any more forms of activity to start off with. Weight training should be enough. So when it comes to stress, it's the minimum dose required that's needed, and it's all about keeping tools in your toolbox. And you hear a lot of people say this, a lot of coaches say this, that you want to draw upon cardio as and when you need it. So if you're fatiguing at the 6th week, 7th, 8th or 9th, or whatever week it may be, after you've had your measures taken, you want to be able to then bring other exercise types in to then bring about a change. You know, add a new stimulus in to make sure you break through that plateau and continue to see results. And it's something that I'm going to do in another video, but it continuously irritates me when we get clients in for consultations and their past coaches have given them, to start off with, every bit of exercise, they've withdraw their calories, so that by the time they get to 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and they've stopped seeing the results they've got over those 6 weeks, the coach has nowhere to take them. You can't give them any more exercise because they're exercising 7 days a week and they're doing all these forms of exercise, and the calories have been brought down so low you can't take them any lower. So that's for another video, and we'll touch on that. But it's all about keeping exercise types in your toolbox and bring them in as and when you need them. So moving on, with regards to losing muscle, so there's this one, best methods for fat loss without losing muscle. What I tend to do, if you are losing muscle and you're doing cardio training with weights, let's say for example, first of all you need to look at other areas. So by other areas I mean look at your weight training sessions. Are you training hard enough? Are you training frequently enough? And probably most importantly, look at your nutrition. Are you eating enough? Are you eating enough protein to help kind of maintain and build lean muscle mass? 9 times out of 10, when people are losing muscle mass, we get people in, they've dropped weight, but they've dropped a large percentage of that as lean muscle mass, and it's because they're not eating enough, and specifically they're not eating enough protein. As soon as we ramp up their protein again, guess what? They put the lean muscle mass back on. Yeah, their weight goes up a little bit, but their body composition results come back 2, 3, 4 weeks later so much better. So what I tend to do, if you're worried about losing muscle with regards to cardio, which can happen on its own, first of all I'd look at other areas before kind of blaming cardio. So we're talking about pros and cons of cardio. One of the pros is if you're injured. You see it a lot with athletes when they're, you know, rugby players for example, when they've got a shoulder injury or back injury or whatever, you can see them getting put through the mill on the watt bike, for example, to keep their fitness conditioning levels up. So the same applies to you guys. If you have any little niggles from the gym, particularly upper body niggles, then there's nothing stopping you obviously bringing in cardio as a replacement to kind of keep on top of your conditioning level. Now, while we're talking about pros of cardio training, and specifically talking about a beginner, or when we first get a client through the door, if you are very new to weight training, your tolerance to weight training when you first start is very low. I like to call it work capacity. I like to judge where people's work capacity is. Can they tolerate a lot of work with regards to weight training? And 9 times out of 10, when someone comes in to see us, first of all, that's not the case. So one thing we can bring in to kind of make use of their time with us is interval sessions towards the end of the workout. So it might start that they've got they do a 35-minute weight session with us, and then 20 minutes interval cardio training at the end. And what will happen as their fitness gets better, or their work capacity increases, or their tolerance to weight training increases over time, that those interval sessions come down to say 10 minutes, and their weight training time increases. So that'd be another pro at bringing in cardio training when someone first starts with us, is it helps build up their work capacity or weight tolerance, tolerance to weight training, a lot quicker, which means we can ultimately get better results from them a lot quicker. And then to answer number C, should it be done separately or combined with weights? So let's say we're all restricted in time, so we've got to combine cardio with the weight training session, and let's specifically talk about HIIT weight training. So with regards to a method for fat loss, I definitely pick, if the person's fit enough, if they're conditioned enough to handle it, definitely bring in a form of HIIT training, high intensity interval training. Now people get mixed up with what kind of high intensity interval training is. For me, with regards to an individual doing it, they shouldn't be able to tolerate no more than 6, 7, 8 minutes of high intensity interval training. And that might be 3, it might be 4, it might be 5 efforts. So 5 horrible efforts. And they have got to be the worst efforts you can imagine. So much so that you'll warrant kind of anything between 60 seconds to 120 seconds rest after you've done those efforts. But they've got to be, as the name suggests, high intensity. The amount of time you get someone, they come to you and said, oh, I've just done 30 minutes of high intensity interval training. Well, I'm sorry, but that's not possible. If you're doing high intensity interval training, it should only be max 7, 8 minutes, if that. You know, we restrict ours to kind of 5 minutes after a weight session. But with regards to, let's say, HIIT training before or after, well, to a large extent, it depends on the body part you're training. Again, it depends on the individual. If you're training, let's say, upper body, and you're doing HIIT training on the bike, then it might be beneficial to bring that in before you do your upper body training. And that's simply because the bike, obviously your legs working hard, doesn't directly affect the area you're going to be doing weight training on. However, if it's, say you're on the bike doing your HIIT training and you're training legs, it might be best to reverse that and put your HIIT training at the end and do your legs to start off with, because obviously the bike HIIT training will directly affect you training your legs. And lastly of all, for me, really, it's just about making sure your foundations are set before you even think about bringing cardio. So make sure your habits are grooved and they're becoming habitual. So you're seeing frequent results to start off with before you think about bringing cardio in, and that's seeing results through weight training. Now, weight training and nutrition. So with regards to kind of those two, that means you found how to train weights hard enough, for starters, to bring about fat loss results and maintain and build muscle, and you found something nutritionally that works for you now and also going forward. And like I said before, it's about keeping tools in the toolbox. So let's say, for example, you're 15% body fat. There's really kind of no need to bring in my opinion, weight training until you get even lower. So let's talk about the individuals that want to get on stage and they need to get down to 8, 7, 6% body fat. Then cardio might be brought in for different reasons. And so yeah, you still might do your HIIT training, your long steady state training might be brought in, and they're all brought in to really just create a bigger calorie deficit to help you get down to those low body fat percentages. And again, that's why it's so important to keep the cardio for when you need it, and it's for those times. But with regards to kind of higher body fat percentage, first of all, you need to find out how to train hard. It sounds straightforward and that, but if you can push yourself hard enough at weight training, then you shouldn't really need any more forms or training modalities for the time being, because training weights hard enough and more frequently throughout the week should bring enough to bring body fat results and also maintenance or increased lean muscle mass.